I'm here to discuss a situation that I went through with Home Depot and a manager that was rude to me while I was there. Okay, so I run a small construction business, and we was looking around for some material, and I called up to Home Depot and talked to a guy in lumber, and he said, "Yes, we have this Series 38 siding," and he said, "But the stuff that we have up here is damaged." And I was like, "Okay, how bad is it?" He explained all that to me. And I was like, "Okay, normally I get this stuff at Lowe's, but they don't have any in stock right now." I was like, "Normally if they have something that's damaged, they give us a discount on it." And he's like, "Oh yeah, we can give you a discount." I was like, "Okay, great." I was like, "How much would that be?" He told us, it'd be 50% if I got 16 of them, which that's why I told him, I needed 16. And he's like, "Yeah, yeah, 50% will be great." So we drove up there, which was about an hour out of our way. And whenever we got there, there was nobody around to help load anything. I mean, it was a mess in the store. So we went back to the siding, and this aisle was just cluttered with all kinds of stuff. Like they hadn't put anything up off the floor. Loaded anything on the aisles or anything like that, or on the shelves. So we move a bunch of stuff around, go back there. We see the siding, load up the siding, and I went ahead and decided to get all the damaged ones because he said originally that if we took all of them, he would give us an additional 10% off. So after we loaded everything up, brought it up to the front, stood in line, um, went up to the checkout. Of course, it was a discounted item, so the lady at the counter had to get a hold of a manager to get permission for it. So we sat there and waited for a manager to come, and finally, I'd say about 5 to 7 minutes waiting in line, the manager finally shows up, and she walks up there and just looks at the screen, and she's like, "No, I'm not giving that much of a discount." So I explained to her, I had called up here. We drove an hour out of our way to come up here, and we talked to a guy in lumber. I didn't get his name, and I don't. Oh, okay, I was like, I don't, just go asking everybody's name there. It was just somebody in Home Depot at the lumber place, and she's like, "Well, I'm not sure who authorized that, but we're not giving that much of a discount." I was like, "Well," I explained to her, we drove all the way up here, and this is what we was told that we was going to get. And she's like, "Well, give me just a minute." And so she left for about 5 minutes or so. And whenever she came back, she said, see how she put that? She said, "I talked to everybody that's in lumber, and nobody talked to, or said they had not talked to anybody about any discounts today." And I was like, "Yes, ma'am." I pulled up my phone, showed her where I called her an hour before that and talked to somebody up there. I was like, "I'm not sure what their name is, but somebody back there is not telling you the truth." I was like, "We wouldn't have just drove up here and loaded all this material up, made this story up, just for fun." And basically, she told me that she believes everybody out there, that nobody had talked to anybody, nobody offered us that discount, and the best that she was going to do was 10% on the material. So I explained to her, I was like, "There's damage right down the middle of it. So we're only going to be able to use about 2/3 of the material." I was like, "And you're only offering 10%." And she's like, "That's the best that I'm going to do." So I explained to her again, I was like, "One of your associates back there quoted me this price." I was like, "It's a damaged material." And I explained to her that, Lowe's normally gives us 75% off the material. And she got real short and rude with us. And basically told me that she wasn't going to give me any more than that. And I was like, "Okay, are you sure you talked to everybody?" She's like, "Yes, I talked to everybody, and all of them said um, they hadn't talked to anybody." And then about a minute later, he was going back and forth. She said, "Well, there's one other person that I had not talked to, and I could get a hold of him." And I was like, "Well, why don't you get a hold of him?" And she's like, "Well, even if he says that he quoted you that price," she's like, "I'm not giving you 10% off." And that's why I clarified with her. I was like, "So if you find the person that I talked to on the phone and had us drive an hour out of our way to pick this material up, loaded onto the cart, brought it up here, and they verified they offered us that. You're not going to honor that price. And she said, no, we're not giving no more than 10% off. And I was, pretty upset. So I, asked her, I was like, okay, do you have a manager above you? And she said, no, I am the manager. I was like, okay, how about a number to your district manager? And she just kind of rolls her eyes at me. Uh, it's like, I'll be back in just a minute. Walked away, and it was about another 10, 15 minutes we were standing there, and I was chatting with the checkout lady. I mean, she's nice as can be. And she was like, this has happened, several times. She's like, the customer is always right. And, we kind of had that conversation. And she's like, I would give it to you if I could, but I can't authorize it. No, I understand. She was nice as can be, and kept on apologizing for the manager. And whenever the manager came back, she walked up, I'd say with about 10, 10, 15 feet of us. And she was like, well, you're just going to have to call 1-800 Home Depot. And I was like, okay, you had to walk away and let us stand here for 10 or 15 minutes just to come back and tell us, call 1-800 Home Depot. So I was like, okay, I apologized to the clerk again and told her, it's not her fault, don't worry about it. And so we turned around and left, got out to the vehicle, tried to call 1-800 Home Depot, and we was on hold for probably about an hour. I'm sure they're busy. And then the next day I emailed their corporate and done another email to another complaint line on there telling them what was going on. And I still to this day hadn't received any replies or anything like that. I both. I tried to call, and like I said, I was on the wait for about an hour. I'm sure they were busy. So, after an hour I just hung up, and I was like, okay, that's enough. And the next day I sat in there and started thinking about it. Normally I get over, things like that. I was like, that was messed up that we drove all the way up there off of somebody else's word saying that, we could get this discount. Um, and drove all the way up there. So I was like, I'm going to send him an email and see if anything comes of it. And I explained on the email basically the same review that I had put on piss.com or piss consumer, worded it, exactly the same, sent it to him. And I have not received any reply from him. Not a, I'm sorry, or come up here and have a talk with this manager. Nothing at all. Basically, I mean, the hour that we, wasted up there getting it, that's not a big deal. It's just the way that the manager treated us as a customer. I mean, she basically just called me a liar, saying that she contacted everybody, and that nobody had talked to anybody about the discount. And I sat there, and I pleaded my case to her and told her, yes, they did. I'm not lying to you. And it was just basically the way that she handled the whole situation and called me a liar and flat out refused to even meet me in the middle. I tried to compromise with her after she just said no 10% period, because we was already up there, we already loaded the stuff up. um and that's basically just a disrespect from the manager. Yeah, actually, I mean, a two-part solution would be great. I mean, number one and the most important would be an apology from the manager, and not a silly phone call. I'll drive up there, um, for an apology, just to maybe somebody else won't have to go through the same situation. And then if they would actually honor the like I said, it was they offered 50% off if we got 16 of them, and we bought all of them up. And he said that I could get an additional 10% off if we bought more. So if they would actually honor the 60% off of the 26 panels, I mean that's all I'm looking for. I'm not looking to gain any money from this or anything like that. Just an apology and what was offered to me that made us drive up there in the first place.